Hey folks, welcome to the 23rd Isometria Devlog. It's good to be back after a few weeks of away time. I assure you, I'm back to work now, and we're going to get the networking and multiplayer going in this sooner than ever. In this week's episode, I'm going to talk about improvements to the world save file. I'll also be discussing improvements to the networking, improvements to the loading process, the work I've been doing on enabling players to successfully connect and disconnect from the server, as well as sharing their position, and I'll also discuss things that have been improved since a few weeks ago. World save files have been vastly reduced in size. Specifically, the changes implemented have been to store only tiles and entities that have changed since generation, instead of storing every entity that has been discovered. This results in a vastly smaller .world file, which should improve load times over the network as well as in single player. Clients loading into the server now load properly into the game world. As you can see, a new player will drop in and be able to be detected by any current player in the game world. As well, on the client side, any players that currently exist in the game world will be transmitted to the player that just joined. Other improvements to the world loading and saving include the ability for the server to save the time of day and the weather that's associated with the server. In this game, the atmosphere is considered things like the weather and the time of day, as well as the creature spawning and sometimes the lighting effects. However, the lighting effects will be on the client side, but the rest of the atmospheric kind of conditions will be controlled by the server. Players also now transmit their location data, which I had before. However, they also will update their hand and weapon that is in their hand. This gets broadcast to everyone on the server. Also, their state, meaning if they're idle or moving, jumping, or running, also gets transmitted to the server and broadcast to everyone else, such that the animations are now synchronized. If the server crashes or disconnects, players will now be dropped to a disconnected screen instead of just remaining in the game and not actually interacting with anything. The beginning of entity updates and interactions with the world has been started, specifically entities that are removed from the game world, such as pieces of grass that get cut down, are now transmitted and shared across the network. However, as you can see, things like items and particles are not currently working. So when a remote player destroys an entity, A, you don't see their weapon swing, and B, the grass just sort of disappears with no items dropped. As players explore the game world, new map sections will be revealed for everyone in the world. At the very least, they will be created and generated for everyone in the world. In a future update, I'm sure to add some sort of explored, unexplored, hidden kind of aspect to the map, but currently everyone in the game world shares the same map and you can see everywhere that anyone has discovered. To discuss other changes that have happened to the networking system under the hood, things like, well, it's either Nagel's or Nagel's algorithm. Well, I've disabled that, and everything I've read has said to use UDP instead of TCP. I'm sticking with TCP for now because most things in the game just sort of need it, but I think in the future I might implement a UDP version of my networking system, which I should be able to pop in and pop out as needed. Other changes under the hood include various queuing and packet sending improvements, such as only sending packets at a predisposed time altogether instead of interspersed or intermittently throughout an entire update cycle. By doing so, it helps reduce jitter in positional updates for entities, as well as synchronizing things that all need to kind of happen at the same time. I've also implemented various data saving techniques in order to reduce the number of bits I am transmitting on certain updates, such as using 32-bit floating point precision instead of 64-bit for positional updates that don't really need that super high precision. Currently, the game supports about 8 players. I might be able to lift that up to 16 or however many your CPU can handle. That's it for this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed the updates. Stay tuned for more updates in the world of networking. I hope to have the networking done within the month and hopefully move on to some new content and new bad guys and new entities and new biomes and new features, new mechanics in a few weeks. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.